The Federation of Bangladesh Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FBCCI, is a historic and leading institution in Bangladesh's economic development and trade expansion. Since independence, it has been known as the apex representative body of the country's business community. FBCCI has consistently played an active role in safeguarding the private sector's interests in the government's policymaking process, reforming tax policies, boosting exports, managing import control measures, and shaping international trade diplomacy. FBCCI is not just a chamber, it is the collective voice of the nation's business community. From national budget formulation to industrial trade and investment strategies, its opinions and recommendations have always been valued. The hopes and aspirations of thousands of entrepreneurs and businesses are supposed to be reflected through FBCCI. Thus, it can be said that FBCCI is indispensable not only for businesses, but also for the national economy itself, serving as a guiding force in determining the country's economic trajectory. 2. Absence of committee and administrator. Today, FBCCI, the country's top trade body, faces an unprecedented vacuum. For a long time, there has been no elected committee, rendering the business community's representation practically ineffective. Without elected leadership, entrepreneurs' voices are absent from policymaking. At one stage, the government appointed an administrator to resolve this deadlock. The administrator's responsibility was to keep day-to-day functions running and conduct elections within a stipulated time. However, once the administrator's tenure expired, no replacement was appointed. This pushed FBCCI into deeper uncertainty. As a result, the organization has sunk into stagnation and leaderlessness. It cannot take effective steps on policymaking, protecting business interests, or strengthening Bangladesh's commercial position internationally. Instead of meeting entrepreneurs' expectations, FBCCI has become an inert structure. The biggest victims of this stalemate are the genuine entrepreneurs and business community of Bangladesh. For years, their exclusion has weakened the organization. In the absence of elected leadership, business challenges are not reaching policymakers, and silence and indifference are growing day by day. Consequently, the voice of business has become weak. On critical issues such as tax reforms, import-export complexities, SME financing, and competitiveness in global markets, FBCCI has been unable to act effectively. With a weakened position in negotiations with the government, entrepreneurs risk losing confidence in the institution. At the same time, frustration and anger are rising among grassroots organizations at the district and sub-district levels. Local chambers and associations believe there is no longer an effective national platform to carry their voices forward. This has created mistrust and detachment among entrepreneurs, which will be harmful for the private sector in the long run. To address FBCCI's paralysis, the government once appointed an administrator whose responsibility was to maintain daily operations and restore democratic leadership through elections within a set timeframe. But in reality, the administrator held limited powers. Unlike an elected representative, he did not enjoy the full confidence of the business community and thus could not take an effective stance in policymaking or protecting entrepreneurs' interests. More alarmingly, after the administrator's tenure ended, the government took no further action. With no new administrator or election process, FBCCI has fallen into a vacuum. This clearly shows that government negligence has prolonged FBCCI's deadlock. The country's most important trade body is now leaderless, and the government has failed to take effective measures. As a result, the business community's voice is weakening and private sector development is being obstructed. With FBCCI leaderless, the position of the business community in policymaking has been weakened. In decisions on budgets, tax policy, tariff policy, or investment, business opinions are no longer strongly reflected. This increases the risk that government policies will ignore private sector needs and realities. Furthermore, FBCCI's stagnation is damaging Bangladesh's foreign trade and international relations. For decades, FBCCI has acted as Bangladesh's spokesperson in trade missions, bilateral forums, and global expos. But in the current vacuum, foreign partners are unable to engage effectively with Bangladesh's business community, weakening the country's competitive position in international trade. At the same time, domestic entrepreneurs are rapidly losing confidence. Many believe FBCCI can no longer protect their interests. If this mistrust continues, entrepreneurs may disengage from the organization, ultimately undermining the unity and strength of the private sector. If the current paralysis continues, the consequences will be dire. Persistent leadership and structural vacuum will destroy the institution's credibility, and business people will lose their genuine voice. The apex platform of the private sector may gradually become marginalized. This situation risks shattering the unity of the business community. If local chambers, associations, and grassroots groups do not see national-level representation, they will look for alternatives. The private sector will fragment, weakening its collective strength in negotiations with the government. Most dangerously, FBCCI's stagnation will negatively impact national economic policies and growth. Without proper input from entrepreneurs, government decisions will lack realism. Trade, investment, and export growth may slow down, harming the overall economy. 7. What business people must do. The most important step to overcome this crisis is unity within the business community. Everyone must rise above personal and group interests to come together on one platform. Without unity, no organization can function, and this truth has become even clearer today. Equally necessary is strong leadership through a democratic process. Transparent and competitive elections must bring genuine entrepreneurs into leadership. Only such leadership can ensure a strong stance for the business community with the government and administration. Finally, FBCCI must be re-established as a true platform for entrepreneurs. To do so, the business community must strongly demand quick elections, institutional reforms, and an effective role in pro-business policymaking. Unless such pressure is mounted on the government, FBCCI's crisis will drag on, and the private sector will lose its strength. The pressing question remains: no administrator, no committee. Where is FBCCI heading? The country's leading trade body today stands leaderless and directionless. An institution meant to safeguard entrepreneurs and business people's interests has itself become dysfunctional. The only way out of this crisis is an awakening among entrepreneurs. If business people unite to demand elections, restore democratic processes, and strive to revive the organization, then FBCCI can regain its lost glory. Otherwise, this vacuum will not only cripple FBCCI but also plunge the entire private sector and the national economy into deeper crisis.